there was a lady in Mumbai who lived in a typical Mumbai apartment, which is a one-room apartment. And that lady was really obsessed with the latest technological gadgets. So she used to buy herself a scanner, a web camera, a 3D surround sound system, the latest processor, a broadband internet connection, and so on. Now this lady also had this habit of chatting on the internet for several hours together every single evening. One evening, when the lady was chatting on the internet, the person with whom she was chatting managed to hack into the lady's computer. And after hacking into the lady's computer, the criminal managed to install a spying software called a Trojan on the lady's computer. And after installing the Trojan on the lady's computer, the criminal, probably sitting in some other part of the world, remotely, secretly managed to use that Trojan to switch the lady's web camera on. So from that moment, whatever happened in the lady's apartment, which I like to remind all of you was a one-room apartment in Mumbai, was actually being broadcasted live on the internet 24 hours a day. And the lady had absolutely no knowledge that something so terrible was happening to her. Life continued normally for a few months, after which the lady went for a job interview. And at that job interview, the person who was interviewing the lady, the person sitting across the desk from the lady, he immediately said, "Oh, I'll definitely give you the job. I see you every day on that pornography website." Why would I? And that's the time the lady realized that, wait a minute, something seems to be wrong. She rushed back home, disconnected the computer from the internet, complained to the police, investigations were carried out, but as usual, the Mumbai police had no idea as to what is going on. And in the meantime, the lady probably never wanted to use the internet again. And if that case study did not scare all of you enough, I have another case study for all of you, this time from the government sector. I'm sure all of you have heard about NASA, the premier space research agency in the world. Now a few years back, NASA successfully completed a spaceship launch to change the direction of a spaceship in space. And by the time the NASA officials realized as to what is going on, they've already lost thousands of dollars as far as space fuel is concerned. So clearly privacy attacks is a problem that affects not only individuals like the Mumbai lady, but it also affects big organizations like NASA. And I'm very sure that at this point of time, most of you in the audience are asking yourselves two main questions. Number one, is it really possible to use the internet to switch somebody else's web camera on? And I'm sure that many of you would love to be able to do that. And secondly, whether it's really possible to use the internet to change the direction of a spaceship in space. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, the answers to both these questions is a big yes. That yes, absolutely anybody with some basic computer hacking knowledge can actually do that. And in the next 15 or 20 minutes, we'll actually see on the big screen as to how all of you can do it as well. So before I give that demonstration, it's kind of important for all of us to understand a very basic concept related to internet and networking, which is very important in computer security, which is something known as IP addresses. Now, how many of you in the audience already know what an IP address is? Can I see hands? Alright, I'm glad that most of you already know what an IP address is, but for the benefit of everybody attending today's seminar, I'll quickly spend 1 minute explaining what an IP address is. Now what happens is, each and every computer which is connected to the internet is given a unique IP address. An IP address is basically a computer's identity on the internet at which it can be contacted. In other words, if I want to contact your computer, I need to know your computer's IP address. So an IP address is to a computer what your cell phone number is to you in the real world. That is an identity at which you can be contacted. Now, how many of you in the audience give out your personal cell phone numbers to every single stranger that you meet on the streets? I'm glad nobody likes to do that. On the other hand, how many of you actually take precautions to protect your IP address every single day on the internet? And that's exactly the kind of reaction that you get absolutely everywhere. Your IP address is as important as your cell phone number, because as soon as your computer's IP address gets into the hands of the criminals, they can at least begin the process of trying to hack into your computer. So the obvious question here is, how can a criminal find out your computer's IP address? Or, if I change the question to make it more interesting, how can you find out your friend's IP address on the internet? Now, there are a variety of different ways in which this can be done, and I've listed out the techniques on the screen. The first technique in which you can find out a remote computer's IP address is through instant messengers. That is, when you're chatting with your friend on instant messenger, you can easily find out your friend's IP address. The second technique is through internet relay chat, which is another form of chatting on the internet. The third technique is through websites. That is, each and every time you visit a website on the internet, you're actually putting your computer's IP address at risk. And finally, through email headers and message board postings. That is, whenever you send an email or scrap somebody on Orkut or write on somebody's Facebook wall, you're actually putting your computer's IP address at risk. So let me at this point of time, very quickly, very briefly, discuss the most important techniques from this list. And the first technique that I want you to discuss today is how can you find out your friend's IP address using instant messenger chatting programs. So say, for example, you wanted to find out your friend's IP address using this technique, then what are the various steps that you need to follow? Step number one, ask your friend to come online and chat with you. Step number two, once your friend is online, once you're online, and once you're chatting with each other, there could be two different cases. Case number one is that you're chatting with your friend on a very popular chatting software known as ICQ. Now, ICQ is any other chatting software. It is being developed by an Israeli company, and ICQ is more popular outside of India than within India. But what happens in ICQ is that if you're chatting with your friend on ICQ, your computer will have a direct connection with your friend's computer. That is, whenever you type a message on your computer, it is directly sent to your friend's computer, and vice versa. Whenever your friend types a message on his computer, it is directly sent to your computer. So since there's a direct connection between your computer and your friend's computer, all you need to do in order to find out your friend's IP address is simply go to the MS-DOS prompt or the command line prompt and type the command netstat-n. For those of you who cannot see the screen properly, I'm going to go ahead and type the command in a notepad file. I'm going to increase the font size a little bit as well. The command that you're going to type is netstat-n. Netstat is basically a command that stands for network statistics, and -n is an argument that tells the command that the output must be displayed in the numeric format. So let me quickly repeat this whole demonstration. When you're chatting with your friend on ICQ, there's a direct connection between your computer and your friend's computer. As a result, all you got to do is quickly go to the MS-DOS prompt or the command line prompt, type the command netstat-n, press enter, and in the output, your friend's IP address will get displayed. As simple as that. However, that was only case number one. That is when you're chatting with your friend on ICQ. Let's quickly discuss case number two. That is when you're chatting with your friend not on ICQ, but on the other instant messengers like MSN, Yahoo, Rediff, India Times, Skype, and Google Talk. What happens in this case is that instead of the